If you're struggling to afford life in Canada right now, you're not alone. The dream is cracking. The same country once praised for its free healthcare, beautiful cities, and stable economy is now becoming unlivable for millions. Rent? Unbearable. Home prices? Out of reach for even high-income earners. Groceries? Skyrocketing. And don't even ask about hospital wait times or finding a family doctor. You'll wait months, if not years. This isn't just a minor dip in affordability. This is a national crisis. From young professionals drowning in debt to families squeezed out of the housing market and newcomers overwhelmed by broken promises, the Canadian dream is slowly slipping away. In today's video, we'll uncover the top 10 brutal reasons why living in Canada has become nearly impossible in 2025. Backed by the latest data, real-life scenarios, and first-hand insights, this is more than a rant. It's a reality check. So before you make your next move, invest in property, or consider relocating to Canada, you need to see this. Because what's happening now is not what you'll see in the brochures. Stick around as the Globe Realty breaks it all down. And while you're here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Number 10. Politicized solutions and lack of long-term planning. When everything becomes political, progress becomes impossible. Canada isn't short on ideas, it's short on execution. Behind closed doors and in front of cameras, politicians at every level trade blame like currency. Federal leaders point to provincial inaction. Premiers criticize Ottawa's immigration policies. Municipalities shrug, saying their hands are tied by outdated zoning laws. And while they all squabble, the average Canadian is drowning. Let's talk housing. Despite a historic population boom, housing starts are down across major provinces. Why? Because red tape is suffocating developers, approvals take years, and restrictive zoning still prioritizes single-family homes over affordable, high-density living. It's like trying to fight a wildfire with a garden hose and then arguing over who should hold it. Ask yourself, why is it easier to build luxury condos than family-friendly rentals? Why are major cities still locked in zoning battles that date back to the 1950s? The answer lies in the obsession with short-term political wins. Politicians chase headlines, not solutions. They roll out flashy announcements and pilot programs, but the real reforms, the ones that could reshape affordability for a generation, they're too risky, too slow, or worse, too politically inconvenient. So the cycle continues. More talk, less action, more promises, fewer homes, more plans, zero vision. And while governments stall, Canadians are left waiting and paying the price. This isn't just a policy failure, it's a leadership crisis. What do you think? Is housing in Canada truly a political football now? Or is there still hope for bold, long-term reform? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear from you. Number 9. Youth disillusionment and brain drain. They told us to dream big, but forgot to mention we'd have to leave to make it real. Picture a 28-year-old software engineer in Toronto. She did everything right, graduated top of her class, landed a good job, played by the rules. But 5 years in, she's still living with roommates. Rent eats up half her income. A house? Laughable. Starting a family? Not unless she moves back in with hers. Now imagine her browsing jobs in Germany, Portugal, even the US. Because the reality is this. More and more young Canadians are quietly planning their exit. Welcome to the brain drain of 2025. In a country known for opportunity, its best and brightest are packing their bags. Not because they don't love Canada, but because Canada doesn't love them back. In affordability, in mobility, in hope. Can you blame them? They see record immigration swelling cities, yet no housing to support it. They see rising tuition, soaring rent, and wages that barely move. They see politicians talking about their future, but not building it. How do you ask a generation to stay rooted when the ground beneath them keeps crumbling? How do you convince them it's worth it when they're already Googling how to move abroad more than ever before? This isn't just a Gen Z problem, it's a Canadian identity crisis. Because when your future leaders, creators, and innovators no longer believe they belong here, what does that say about where we're headed? Let that sink in. Still ahead, the top 8 reasons life in Canada has become nearly impossible. But before we move on, smash that like button if you're still watching, and make sure you subscribe to stay with us till number 1. The biggest shock is yet to come. Number 8. Overburdened healthcare system. Need a doctor? You might want to pack a lunch and a sleeping bag. Let's cut to the chase. Canada's healthcare system is cracking, and people are falling through. Emergency room wait times, in some provinces, they stretch past 18 hours. Trying to get surgery? You're looking at months, even years, on a wait list. And here's the kicker. Nearly 6 million Canadians, that's almost 1 in 6 people, don't even have a family doctor. Think about that. In a country that prides itself on universal health care, millions are stuck in a holding pattern, sick, stressed, and stranded. And no, it's not just a post-COVID backlog anymore. It's chronic underfunding, burned-out staff, and an aging population colliding all at once. Nurses are quitting in droves, doctors are retiring early, and young medical professionals? Many are heading to countries that pay more and demand less. It's not just frustrating, it's dangerous. People are dying in waiting rooms. Parents can't get treatment for their kids in time. And seniors? They're waiting hours just to be told they'll have to wait even longer. When did free healthcare become barely functioning healthcare? How long are Canadians expected to be patient before their patience runs out? Now, healthcare was once a point of pride. But in 2025, it's becoming a pressure point. A daily gamble with your health, your time, and your peace of mind. And here's the real question. If the system's broken when you need it most, is it really universal at all? Stay tuned, we're only just heating up. Coming up next, a problem that's hitting the streets, literally. Before we move on, comment below. Have you experienced Canada's healthcare delays firsthand? Number 7. Homelessness and tent cities. In one of the world's richest countries, thousands now sleep beneath tarps. Walk through downtown Toronto, Vancouver, or even smaller cities like Kitchener or Regina, and you'll see them, rows of tents, makeshift shelters, people huddled under bridges and overpasses. This isn't some rare scene. It's the new normal. Canada is experiencing an unprecedented homelessness crisis, and it's not just the chronically homeless anymore. We're talking about working-class people, seniors, even students who've been priced out of the rental market with nowhere else to go. According to the latest reports, over 30,000 Canadians are homeless on any given night, and advocacy groups say the real number could be far higher when you count those couch surfing, living in cars, or cycling through shelters. But the real gut punch? Many of these people have jobs. They're not jobless. They're rentless. Because when average monthly rent surpasses $2,300 nationally and minimum wage pays just a fraction of that, math becomes the enemy. And here's the worst part. Instead of building permanent affordable housing, many cities are investing in clearing these camps. Out of sight, out of mind. Tents removed, no solutions provided, just displacement, on repeat. What does it say about a country when its economic engine still leaves tens of thousands sleeping on concrete? At what point does "we're doing our best" just sound like an excuse? This is no longer a hidden crisis. It's a visible, national shame. Because if shelter is a basic human need, how did it become a luxury in Canada? Up next, we look at how rising interest rates are turning even homeownership into a financial nightmare. But first, hit that like button if you're still with us. It helps the message reach more people, and maybe, just maybe, the people in power too. Number 6. Interest rate pressure. They bought their dream home in 2020. Now, in 2025, it's becoming a nightmare. Let's rewind a few years. Interest rates were low. The market was hot. Canadians were told, buy now, lock it in, ride the wave. And many did, stretching their budgets to the edge, believing they were securing stability. But now in 2025, that fixed-rate honeymoon is over. Mortgage renewals are coming in at double, or even triple, the original rates. Monthly payments that were once manageable are now skyrocketing by $800 to $1,500 or more. Families who budgeted responsibly are getting crushed. Young couples, forced to sell. Retirees, draining savings just to keep their homes. The Bank of Canada's interest rate still sits at 5%, its highest sustained level in over 2 decades, meant to tame inflation, yes, but with devastating side effects for the everyday homeowner. And if you're not a homeowner, don't exhale just yet. Rising rates have made borrowing for anything, cars, student loans, credit cards, brutally expensive. Small businesses are folding. First-time buyers, shut out completely. How do you plan for the future when your monthly bills are a moving target? How do you build wealth when debt keeps pulling you under? This isn't just an economic policy, it's a psychological war. Because every mortgage renewal letter now arrives with anxiety and uncertainty. The question isn't, can you still afford a home? It's, can you afford to keep the one you already have? And if interest rates stay high much longer, Canada could be staring down a silent foreclosure wave. Up next, let's talk about the everyday pain of just surviving in Canada. Because it's not just about interest rates anymore. It's everything. Before we dive into the top 5 reasons why living in Canada has become almost impossible, let's take a quick pause. If you've made it this far, it means you care about the truth behind the headlines, and you're not alone. At the Globe Realty, we don't just talk real estate, we expose the systems, stories, and struggles affecting real people like you. So if you're finding value in this content, hit that like button to help this video reach more viewers. It's a small click with a big impact. And if you're new here, consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you never miss a moment. We're just getting started, and the rest of this list? It gets even more real. Drop a comment too. What part of this crisis hits you the hardest? Now, let's get back to it. Reason number 5 is something every Canadian feels, every single day. Number 5, cost of living crisis. It's not just expensive, it's exhausting. In 2025, it's not uncommon for Canadians to leave the grocery store with 2 bags and a receipt that feels like a punch in the stomach. The cost of living isn't just rising, it's spiraling. Essentials like bread, eggs, milk, and baby formula, up 20 to 30% in just 2 years. Gas, hovering around $1.90 per liter, with no signs of dropping. Utilities, insurance, cell phone bills, all creeping up, faster than your paycheck can keep up. In fact, Statistics Canada reports that food inflation alone sits at 6.3% this year, more than double the wage growth for many working-class families. It's gotten so bad that food banks are seeing record-breaking demand, with some people lining up for hours, not for luxuries, but for canned goods and boxed pasta. Parents are skipping meals so their kids can eat. Young professionals are taking on second jobs just to afford rent and transportation. Seniors are cutting pills in half to stretch their prescriptions. When did surviving become the new standard for living? When did affording a decent life become a monthly miracle? This crisis isn't just in your wallet, it's in your mental health, your relationships, your sense of safety and control. And the cruel irony? Canada's GDP is growing. Corporations are posting profits. Politicians talk about recovery. But for the average Canadian, this feels like slow-motion suffocation. When the basics become luxuries, what happens to everything else? Stay with us. Because coming up next, we unpack how record immigration and poor infrastructure planning are stretching the country to a breaking point. Number 4, record immigration without matching infrastructure. 1 million people arrived, but no one prepared the ground beneath their feet. Canada has always opened its arms to the world. Immigration isn't just policy here, it's identity. But in 2025, even that proud legacy is being tested. Last year alone, Canada welcomed over 1.25 million new residents, an all-time record. And while this growth fuels our economy, our infrastructure didn't get the memo. Housing? Already scarce. Hospitals? Already overburdened. Transit, schools, social services? Stretched to the breaking point. The result? Newcomers, full of hope, arrive only to find no homes, long wait lists, and few opportunities. Meanwhile, long-time residents, many struggling themselves, feel the pinch, fueling resentment and division. And here's the hard truth. This isn't about immigration being bad. It's about leadership that's failed to plan. How do you add 1 million people to a system without building anything to support them? How do you promise opportunity when the foundations can't even hold the weight? Across the country, we're seeing multifamily units bursting at the seams, families living in motels, and children forced to attend overcrowded schools with wait lists for basic services. It didn't have to be this way. Experts warned us, economists flagged it, developers begged for zoning reform. But political leadership pressed forward, without a blueprint, without scalability, without a backup plan. Immigration can be a blessing, but growth without support becomes a burden on everyone. And if we don't fix this imbalance soon, the cracks in our systems won't just grow, they'll collapse. Coming up next, the hidden battle over stagnant wages and how working full-time in Canada no longer guarantees survival. If you felt the weight of this imbalance, whether as a newcomer or long-time resident, share your experience below. Number 3. Stagnant wage growth. The price of everything is going up, except your paycheck. Let's break it down. You're working harder, you're putting in longer hours, you've done the side hustle thing, but somehow your wallet feels thinner than it did 3 years ago. Welcome to Canada's wage stagnation crisis. In 2024, average wage growth across the country was 4.7%. Sounds okay, right? Not when rent rose by 10%, groceries by 6%, and mortgage payments by as much as 60% for some households. In real terms, your income is going backward. And fast. It's not just inflation. It's that wages haven't kept pace with the cost of basic living for over a decade. Add student debt, childcare costs, insurance premiums, and gas, you've got a generation of workers who are employed but broke. How do you build a life when even a good job isn't enough? How do you climb a ladder when every rung gets more expensive? And your raise is just enough to cover last month's bills? This isn't just hurting entry-level workers, it's choking out the middle class. In tech, healthcare, construction, even in law and education, workers are asking the same question. Why can't I get ahead, even though I'm doing everything right? Meanwhile, CEO bonuses and corporate profits are up, the stock market recovers, but your bank account? Still overdraft on the 12th of the month. It's not laziness. It's not bad budgeting. It's a system that no longer rewards effort with stability. Up next, a look inside Canada's wild rental market, where affordable is a word from a different era. Number 2. Severe rental market squeeze. You don't need to own a home in Canada to feel the pain. Just try renting one. It's 8 a.m. in downtown Halifax. A line is forming outside a one-bedroom apartment showing. By noon, over 30 people, students, young professionals, even a family of 3, have toured the same 600-square-foot unit. The rent? $2,100 per month, plus utilities. No laundry. No parking. No negotiation. This is the Canadian rental market in 2025. In cities like Vancouver, Toronto, and Calgary, average rents have surged by 10% or more in the last year alone. And it's not just the big metros. Smaller cities like Kelowna, London, and Moncton are feeling the heat too. Why? Because demand is exploding, fueled by record immigration, fewer homeowners, and investors gobbling up what little inventory remains. Meanwhile, the supply, choked by red tape, zoning laws, and slow development. The result? Bidding wars for rentals, landlords charging for applications, and renters signing leases sight unseen, just to lock something in. Ever had to choose between living further out or moving in with strangers? Ever felt anxious because your rent just jumped $300 with no warning or reason? This is the new normal. More Canadians than ever are spending over 50% of their income on rent. That's not just unsustainable, it's dangerous. Financial advisors recommend no more than 30 cents, but in this market, that's a fantasy. And while policymakers promise relief, many renters are already slipping through the cracks, living one rent increase away from eviction. Ask yourself, what happens when a whole generation can't afford a roof, let alone a future? Stick around, because reason number 1, it's the elephant in the room, and the root of so much more. Smash that like if renting in Canada has become your biggest financial headache. And get ready. Number 1, the housing affordability crisis. Owning a home in Canada has become the ultimate fantasy, one fewer and fewer people can afford to dream. It's the Canadian dream. Work hard, save up, buy a home, build a life. But in 2025, that dream has turned into a cruel joke. And for millions, a lifetime of renting is no longer a temporary phase. It's a permanent sentence. Let's look at the numbers. The national average home price sits at $716,000. In cities like Toronto and Vancouver, it's well over $1 million. And to even qualify for a mortgage in those cities, you'd need an income of over $250,000 per year. How many people do you know making that kind of money? First-time buyers are crushed. Middle-class families are priced out. Even dual-income households can't break in. And the worst part? Every time there's a dip in the market, prices bounce back higher. Like a rigged game you were never meant to win. Why? Because the system rewards speculation, not shelter. Because homes are treated as investment vehicles, not places to live. Because policy after policy has favored developers, investors, and flippers, not families. How do we get to a point where a 700-square-foot condo costs more than your parents' entire house and delivers none of the security? What kind of country tells its youth, just work harder, while the ladder's been pulled up behind them? This isn't just a housing crisis, it's a national reckoning. It's young adults postponing families, seniors drowning in reverse mortgages, immigrants arriving with hope and sleeping in basements. It's the dream being rewritten, not with bricks and blueprints, but with doubt, debt, and despair. Ask yourself, is this the Canada we were promised? Or is this what we've settled for? This was the Globe Realty, uncovering the real reasons why living in Canada has become almost impossible in 2025. If you felt this, drop a comment, share your story, start the conversation, because silence won't fix this. But speaking up, that's the first step toward change. So now you've seen it, 10 undeniable reasons why living in Canada has become nearly impossible in 2025. From the soaring cost of homes and unlivable rent prices, to broken healthcare systems, silent wage wars, and leadership that seems more focused on headlines than helping, the picture is clear. Canada is not broken, but it is bruised. And here's the most painful part. It didn't happen overnight. This crisis is the result of years of neglect, complacency, and short-sighted policies that prioritized growth over people, money over meaning. But even in all this frustration, there's one thing that remains: you. The renters, the workers, the students, the families, the people who haven't given up. So now we ask, what do we do next? We keep speaking, we keep sharing, we keep pushing. Because the moment we go silent, that's when the system wins.